Welcome, dreamers and night explorers. Tonight, you and I drift into the quiet Nevada desert, where starlight pools across endless sand and rumors linger in the still air. Our journey is gentle, a bedtime passage through science, history, and the soft veil of mystery that surrounds one of the most secret places on Earth Area 51. As you settle beneath the covers, let the day fall behind you. With each breath, the noise of the world recedes, and the questions that draw us here begin to glow. What flights of technology hide beyond those guarded fences? What stories of the cosmos whisper through its long corridors of shadow? Tonight's sleep story isn't about fear or conspiracy. It's about wonder about how curiosity travels farther than any spacecraft, and how the universe invites us to listen. Together we'll trace the desert wind, follow the sweep of hidden runways, and gaze upward to the endless stars that hold every answer and every mystery. If this quiet exploration stirs your imagination, I invite you to stay connected. Like this video to let the algorithm know you'd like more peaceful investigations. Subscribe so our next journey finds you when night returns. And when the story is done, share it with someone who loves the calm pull of the unknown. Your comments are welcome. Too, your thoughts and questions are the sparks that guide future nights of discovery. Now, breathe in the desert air of possibility. Let's begin tonight's sleep story. What alien secrets are hidden inside Area 51? Chapter 1. The desert breathes. The Nevada night stretches wide as you arrive in thought. A quiet ocean of sand and stars. Wind slides across salt flats, carrying echoes of ancient seas. Your footsteps become slow heartbeats, blending with the desert's patient rhythm. Above you, constellations whisper of distances beyond imagination. The desert greets you without hurry. Its breath is a long, unbroken exhale, a tide of dry air that moves across the open plain and settles into the folds of distant hills. You step into that breath as though entering a cathedral of sand, where silence has mass and shadow has texture. Each grain beneath your feet is a tiny record of time shards of mountains ground fine by wind and waiting. The night sky is a vast bowl, turned upside down, black yet filled with faint glimmers. Stars shimmer like cooled embers, slow pulses of light crossing unimaginable distances. You tilt your head and feel the distance in your chest, a gentle stretch that seems to pull thought outward. Above, the Milky Way spills like a river of powdered glass, its current carrying the memory of billions of suns. The air is cool now, but it holds the memory of the day's heat. It rises from the earth in quiet sighs, carrying a mineral scent salt, stone, a faint sweetness of dry sage. You imagine this place long ago, when an ancient sea shimmered here, when water lapped against shores now buried under sand. The thought comes easily, like a dream remembered at the edge of waking. A low wind begins, almost a voice. It slides through creosote bushes, rattling their tiny leaves into soft percussion. Each rustle is a sentence you can almost understand, a story of persistence. Plants rooted deep, drinking what little rain the sky allows. The sound travels outward, vanishing into the openness until it seems the entire desert is breathing with you. You walk. The rhythm of your steps joins the slow beat of the night. Every few paces, the ground changes beneath you. Hard-packed sand becomes a ripple of small stones, then a patch of cracked clay shaped like a mosaic. These patterns speak of dry rivers and floods that came centuries apart, of sun and moon pulling at the earth. You sense how nothing here is truly empty. Everything carries the memory of movement. A sudden hush falls as the wind fades. You stop, and the silence deepens. It is not absence, but presence, a living quiet so full you can almost feel it pressing lightly against your skin. Your own heartbeat grows audible, a soft drum echoing in your ears. It merges with the desert's slow pulse until it is impossible to tell where your body ends and the landscape begins. In this stillness, the stars sharpen. You notice subtle colors, blue sparks, faint reds, golden hints that flicker like distant fires. Some of those points of light are not stars at all, but entire galaxies, each containing hundreds of billions of suns. The realization does not startle you. Instead, it settles like a blanket, comforting in its vastness. You picture the desert as it might appear from far away, from an orbiting satellite, or from the edge of the solar system. A pale patch on a spinning world, one tiny moment in the sweep of cosmic time. Yet standing here, you feel how infinite smallness can also be infinite depth. The sand beneath you holds the dust of supernovas. The calcium in your bones was born in long dead stars. A lone coyote calls, a thread of sound that bends through the air. It is a clear, high note that hangs for a breath before falling back into the dark. You imagine the animal pausing somewhere beyond a ridge, ears tilted toward the same constellations. In that brief echo, the line between wild creature and wandering human feels thin, almost transparent. You keep walking, though you have no destination. Every step is a quiet conversation with gravity and ground. The horizon remains distant, a gentle curve lit by starlight. Sometimes you see a faint flash, perhaps a meteor burning in the upper atmosphere, perhaps the wink of an orbiting satellite. Each flicker reminds you that even in this vast stillness, motion never ceases. Your thoughts drift to time. Geologists say these desert rocks are millions of years old, remnants of mountains older than memory. Yet the grains of sand shift with each gust, rewriting the landscape nightly. Change and permanence, side by side. You breathe with that rhythm. Inhale the enduring, exhale the fleeting. The night deepens. Coolness settles across your shoulders like a shawl of shadow. You feel the slow radiance of stars soaking into the ground, a light too faint for eyes, but strong enough for the imagination. Somewhere beneath your feet, minerals rearrange atom by atom. Above, light from distant suns continues its patient journey, indifferent to the boundaries of day and night. You pause on a rise where the sand opens into a shallow basin. Here the wind carves subtle patterns, curling the surface into ripples like frozen waves. You run your hand across them. The grains slide like tiny beads, dry and soft. It is a simple sensation, but it carries the echo of eons, the same elements that formed oceans, mountains, and eventually you. A thought surfaces. The desert is not empty, but listening. Every step, every breath is a note in a long, low music. Perhaps this is why people have always come to places like this, to hear the quiet song beneath the noise of the world. The melody is patient, repeating across centuries. Far off, a faint glow rises at the edge of the horizon. It might be a distant town, or the reflection of moonlight on thin clouds. It reminds you that even here, where human presence feels remote, the traces of civilization are never entirely gone. Somewhere beyond those ridges, people move through their own nights, carrying their own questions. You think of the names given to this place: Nevada, Great Basin, Mojave. Names layered like the sediments of old lakes, each a story of arrival and wonder. But the desert itself needs no name. It simply exists, vast and breathing, indifferent to the languages that try to hold it. The coyote calls again, joined by a second voice, then a third. Their chorus winds across the darkness like silver thread. You close your eyes and let the sound carry you, a reminder that life persists even in the harshest quiet. The song fades, leaving an even deeper stillness in its wake. You breathe once more, long and slow. The air tastes of stone and starlight. Each inhale feels like drawing the cosmos inside, each exhale a soft offering back to the night. It is enough. And as you stand in the hush, a new curiosity stirs, a gentle wondering about what might lie beyond this desert, beyond the horizon's slow curve. Perhaps a place where human hands build quiet machines that listen to the stars, or where hidden valleys cradle secrets of earth and sky. The thought lingers like a distant glimmer, inviting without urgency as the desert continues its patient breath. Somewhere past the ridges, instruments may be turning toward the heavens, catching whispers older than memory. You take one last breath of the desert's quiet and feel the pull of that unseen listening, a question waiting in the next chapter. Chapter 2. Dreams of Flight. You trace the history of secret flight testing, from paper gliders to silver jets. Each invention is a dream caught in metal and air. Engineers work in silence, minds adrift on currents of possibility. The desert sky becomes a cradle for every human longing to rise. The night desert is still, yet the air holds a quiet tension like the pause before a leap. You stand where the sand meets the tarmac of memory, a place where dreams of flight once took shape in guarded secrecy. The stars above seem to lean closer, curious witnesses to the daring that unfolded here. Your mind drifts first to a simpler age. You picture a child bending a scrap of paper, folding careful creases until a fragile triangle of possibility appears. A breath of air sends the paper glider forward, and for a heartbeat, it floats gravity briefly persuaded to wait. That small arc of motion is the seed of every soaring machine that will ever lift from home. Earth. The desert's own history is patient. It has watched oceans come and go, volcanoes flare and sleep. It can afford to watch the slow blossoming of human ambition. But once the idea of flight enters the human story, time quickens. Bamboo and silk kites over ancient China tug against the sky. Hot air balloons rise over the French countryside, their silk skins glowing like captured suns. You feel those early hearts pounding in rhythm with your own, a chorus of curiosity echoing across centuries. In your mind's eye, the scene shifts. Wooden frames, thin fabric, and bicycle chains glint in dawn light as the Wright brothers test their wings on the sand of Kitty Hawk. Their craft is simple, but the physics is profound. Lift borne when moving air lowers pressure over a curved surface becomes a kind of gentle magic. You imagine molecules streaming like invisible rivers, splitting around a wing, faster above than below, creating an upward pull. Bernoulli's principle is not a spell, but it feels like one, soft and sure. The desert wind sighs. It reminds you that flight is always a conversation between air and ingenuity. Every aircraft is a question whispered to the atmosphere. Will you hold me? Every successful takeoff is the sky's quiet yes. Now you follow the story westward to this very basin of stone and salt. After World War II, while most of the world exhaled, a new tension gathered here. Pilots and engineers arrived, carrying blueprints too radical for open skies. The Air Force carved a runway across a dry lake bed and called it Groom Lake. The name was plain, the purpose hidden. You picture them working by floodlight, slide rules in hand, hearts racing with each new design. Above their heads, the desert stars remained impartial. But on the ground, metal took shapes no one had imagined. Silver needles of experimental jets waited for dawn. Some would climb faster than sound, riding shock waves that turned air itself into a wall to be broken. You feel the moment of the first sonic boom, a sudden shiver through the atmosphere, like the Earth's own heartbeat skipping a beat. The science behind it is simple, yet elegant. When a plane moves faster than the pressure waves it creates, those waves pile together into a cone of compressed air. When the cone's edge sweeps past you, you hear it as thunder that was never in the clouds. But for the pilots, the experience is silent until after it happens. They pierce a barrier that was once only theory, wrapped in an instant of pure stillness. You breathe with the rhythm of their courage. Inside those cockpits, every sense must sharpen. The smell of heated metal, the vibration of engines, the delicate tremor of thin air at high altitude. The human body adapts, but only to a point. At 40,000 feet, the air is too thin to nourish a single cell. Oxygen masks become lifelines, pressure suits second skins. The desert below looks smooth and endless, a canvas stretched for testing both machine and mind. Secrecy settles like moonlight. You imagine late-night briefings where engineers trace equations in the air with tired fingers. They debate lift-to-drag ratios and thermal stresses, but beneath the numbers hums the same yearning that once lifted a child's paper plane. They want to touch the edge of possibility. The guarded gates and code names are only armor for a deeper wonder. You step deeper into the night of thought. Even the most advanced jets must bow to the laws of physics. Every curve of a wing is a negotiation with invisible currents. Every rivet holds a dialogue between strength and weight. In the stillness, you sense those equations as music, a quiet symphony of balance and flow. The moon climbs higher. Its pale light silvers the desert floor, and you recall how lunar gravity is only a fraction of Earth's. Astronauts trained near here once, practicing landings for a world where each step would be a slow-motion dance. Flight, it seems, is not only upward, but outward toward other worlds, other possibilities. Your breathing deepens. You feel how the sky invites not conquest, but partnership. Birds learned it first. Wings angled to catch invisible thermals, feathers flexing to sense the smallest eddies. Modern pilots still read the air with similar intuition, guided by instruments but also by feel. The desert teaches patience. The wind teaches humility. Somewhere beyond the mountains, a faint echo of jet thunder lingers. Perhaps it is only memory. Perhaps it is the present moment folded strangely across time. You imagine a sleek black aircraft carving an arc against the stratosphere, its pilots steady as heartbeats, their minds as focused as the stars. They carry with them not only machinery, but the distilled hope of generations. You close your eyes and picture the invisible trails of molecules parted by wings. Air, though unseen, is a substance you can almost touch. Each breath you draw is part of the same ocean of atmosphere that lifts a hawk, a glider, a secret plane. The currents wrap the planet in a soft, restless embrace, connecting every flyer. Every dreamer. The night deepens and the stars sharpen. Their light reminds you that flight is not only horizontal. Space itself calls. The engineers who built swift jets also imagined rockets, vehicles that would leave air behind altogether. From folded paper to roaring spacecraft, the dream expands, always outward. Your heartbeat slows to match the quiet rhythm of the desert once more. You stand at the edge of the runway and remember feeling the long arc from child's breath to supersonic thunder. Above, the constellations remain patient, watching as humanity learns again and again how to rise. The wind settles, almost like a sigh. You sense that this story of flight is not ending but changing shape, stretching from the metal of wings to the silent vacuum beyond. And as you lift your eyes toward that endless darkness, you begin to wonder what waits in the deeper sky. A question that will guide you into the next chapter, where the stars themselves become your teachers. Chapter 3, Physics Beneath the Stars. Gravity holds you gently, a quiet promise beneath every step. Lift, thrust, drag forces dance in balance, shaping every aircraft. You picture molecules like tiny dancers, swirling in the cool night. Science becomes a soft lullaby, numbers turning into moonlit patterns. The desert has settled into its midnight hush, a vast and breathing cathedral of sand and stone. You pause in the stillness and sense something steady beneath you, a pull that never loosens. Gravity is invisible, but you feel it as surely as you feel the slow beat of your heart. It is a promise written into every grain of earth. I will hold you close, no matter how wide the sky becomes. You tilt your face upward. The stars shimmer like a billion small lanterns scattered across a velvet ocean. Each one tugs on you, just slightly, its own gravity threading through the emptiness. The moon, pale and quiet, adds its pull as well. You are a meeting point of countless forces. The Earth's embrace, the moon's whisper, the distant tug of galaxies beyond sight. Every step you take is a balancing act across an invisible web. Breathe in. The air is cool, but alive. Though it feels empty, it is a sea of motion. Countless molecules, oxygen, nitrogen, argon collide and drift in endless dance. They press gently against your skin, against the desert stones, against the hidden wings of nocturnal birds. You cannot see them, but without their ceaseless movement, there could be no flight, no sound, no breath. Imagine those molecules as tiny dancers. When an airplane wing cuts through them, their patterns change. Above the curved surface of the wing, they rush faster, lowering the pressure. Below the wing, they move a little slower, the pressure slightly higher. That difference, so delicate it can be measured only with instruments, creates lift, the quiet upward force that defies gravity's embrace. What feels like magic is only the patient conversation between shape and air. Now think of thrust, the forward urge of an engine, a long exhale of propeller or jet. It is a motion given purpose. Without thrust, the wing cannot ask the air to create lift. But motion invites resistance, and so drag arrives, a gentle hand pressing back. Weight, lift, thrust, drag four companions forever in dialogue. Too much of one, too little of another, and the balance collapses. But when they harmonize, a machine of metal and wire becomes almost bird-like, rising on nothing but invisible currents. You remember the pilots you imagined earlier, the ones who tested secret aircraft beyond these desert hills. They trusted this balance with their lives. Their instruments tracked numbers, airspeed, angle of attack, but beneath the math lived something softer. A felt rhythm, a sense of when the air would hold and when it would not. Science may speak in equations, but the body learns its own poetry. Your thoughts drift outward, beyond the atmosphere. Even the planets obey these same laws. The moon circles Earth in a delicate compromise between gravity and momentum. The International Space Station, gliding at thousands of miles an hour, is always falling but never landing. It is weightless not because gravity vanishes, but because the station is forever falling around the world it never touches. Orbital motion is just another dance of forces, a cosmic waltz that continues whether we watch or sleep. A faint breeze brushes your cheek. It carries the desert's cool perfume of sage and stone. In its movement, you feel another principle: convection. Warm air rises, cooler air slides in to take its place. This simple cycle stirs winds that shape weather, lift eagles, and sculpt dunes. Even here, in this silent night, invisible currents spiral upward, each one guided by the quiet physics that makes flight possible. Look higher still. A shooting star streaks across the black, a fragment of ancient rock meeting the thickening air. Friction turns motion into light, kinetic energy surrendering to heat. For an instant, the sky burns with a trail of chemistry and speed. It is the same principle that warms your hands when you rub them together. Tiny collisions creating heat, but magnified to celestial. Scale dot, you draw a slow breath, aware that every inhale and exhale is itself a flight. Your lungs expand because muscles create a pressure difference, letting air glide inward. Gravity steadies the air's weight, so it can flow like a tide. Each breath is a miniature version of the forces that carry a hawk on a thermal or push a spacecraft through. Thin upper layers of atmosphere. The more you listen, the more the universe sounds like a quiet song of balances. Energy transforms, but never disappears. Momentum persists unless acted upon. These are not harsh commands, but gentle assurances. They are the same everywhere, from the drift of desert sand to the swirl of distant galaxies. You belong to these laws as surely as any star or planet, Your eyes linger on the constellations. They seem still, yet you know they race through space at unimaginable speeds. Light from some of those stars began its journey before the first human ever folded a paper glider. Physics makes this possible too. The constancy of light's velocity, the patient stretching of time and space. What you see is both present and history, a message carried across millions of years to meet your gaze tonight. You crouch and touch the ground. The earth beneath you spins toward dawn at more than 1,000 miles an hour, yet you feel no motion. Friction with the air, the shared momentum of land and body, keeps everything calm. The laws that launch rockets also allow this gentle stability. A balance so perfect you hardly notice it dot as you rise. The night feels deeper. The desert wind slows. Your own heartbeat becomes the metronome of the cosmos, a quiet reminder that you, too, are a collection of forces in harmony. Electrochemical signals, gravitational pulls, the subtle pressure of air against your skin. Every cell in your body is a miniature laboratory where physics and biology meet in silence. You close your eyes and sense the vast simplicity of it all. Gravity beneath, air around, starlight above. Nothing shouts. Everything simply is. The universe holds you in a patient embrace, asking only that you notice that far on the horizon. A pale glow hints at the coming moonset, and with it, a new curiosity awakens. If these laws guide the desert night and the dance of stars, what deeper stories might the sky itself be telling? Stories of galaxies, nebulae, and the ancient light now arriving to touch your quiet breath. Chapter 4. Eyes to the cosmos look upward. Galaxies spill their light across the black canvas. Telescopes capture ancient messages, photons older than Earth's mountains. You drift through cosmic distances without leaving the sand. The universe hums, a low music you feel more than hear. The desert night opens like a vast, unturned page. You lean back against the cooling sand and let your gaze travel upward, beyond the edges of familiar thought. Above you, the sky is a cathedral of darkness, each star a candle placed with infinite patience. There is no rush here. The universe speaks in spans of billions of years, yet tonight it feels close enough to breathe. Your eyes adjust, and more stars appear, delicate as grains of salt scattered on black velvet. Some are young, their light a crisp white. Others burn older, tinged with amber or faint blue. Each one is a sun, immense and alive, yet so far away that its light has traveled across eons to reach you. What you see now is not the star as it is, but as it once was an echo of its earlier self. You are looking back through time, every photon a small courier carrying history. Farther out, beyond what the naked eye can gather, entire galaxies swirl. You imagine them as great spirals of light and dust, each a city of hundreds of billions of stars. Their light began its journey long before the Earth itself was formed. Some of those photons started moving when no human mind yet wandered at the sky. And still they travel, silent and faithful, until they meet the soft surface of your eye and awaken sight. You picture the instruments humans have built to extend that vision. Telescopes poised on mountaintops, satellites gliding in silent orbit. Glass mirrors the size of houses curve with exquisite precision, gathering the faintest signals from the edge of the observable universe. When astronomers align these machines, they are catching whispers older than mountains, older than the oceans that once covered this very desert. Through them, we see nebulae like blossoming flowers of gas, quasars burning with the brightness of 1 trillion suns, and the faint afterglow of the Big Bang itself. Consider the journey of a single photon. Perhaps it left the surface of a distant star when dinosaurs roamed Earth. It darted past planets, skimmed the edges of comets, bent slightly as it brushed the gravity of unseen masses. At last it arrives tonight, striking the delicate cells of your retina. In that instant, the photon's long story becomes a moment of vision, a bridge between past and present, written in pure light. You breathe deeply, feeling the cool air settle into your lungs. Inside you, tiny receptors translate this ancient light into signals that race along nerves to your brain. Perception itself is another kind of cosmic dance, electrical impulses. Chemical gates, a network of billions of cells conversing in silence. The universe does not merely exist outside of you. It unfolds within you as well. The Milky Way stretches across the sky like a slow river. Its haze is the combined glow of countless stars too distant to resolve individually. Somewhere in that spangled ribbon, new suns are being born inside clouds of hydrogen and dust. Gravity gathers the gas. Pressure ignites the nuclear fires. Each newborn star is a reminder that creation is not a single event, but a continuous breathing of the cosmos dot near the horizon. A faint smudge catches your attention, perhaps the Andromeda Galaxy, our closest spiral neighbor. Its light began its voyage more than 2 million years ago, when early humans first learned to shape stone. One night, billions of years from now, Andromeda will drift close enough to merge with our own galaxy in a slow, silent dance. Even that colossal meeting will be gentle. Stars are so far apart that few will collide. Space is more emptiness than substance, and yet it is full of meaning. The desert wind sighs, carrying with it the cool scent of sage. You imagine radio telescopes elsewhere on Earth, their great metal dishes turning to follow the sky. They listen for signals far fainter than any whisper, natural pulses from spinning neutron stars, or perhaps the deliberate call of another intelligence. So far, the universe has answered mostly with silence, but even silence is rich. It tells us how vast space is, how precious the small island of life beneath you, above. The constellations form stories older than language. Orion with his belt of 3 bright stars, Cassiopeia leaning back in her chair, the Great Bear circling the northern pole. Ancient people looked up and traced these patterns, weaving myths to explain their gentle movements. Tonight you sense why. The stars invite narrative. They stir a need to connect, to find shape in endlessness. Your thoughts drift outward to the planets of our own system. Mars gleams faintly red, its deserts echoing the one where you now recline. Jupiter, vast and banded, holds storms older than recorded history. Farther still, icy worlds circle in the Kuiper Belt, and beyond them, the Oort cloud stretches like a dark halo of comets. Each body obeys the same gravitational dance, each path a testament to order hidden within the seeming chaos. Time feels different here. Light years replace minutes, cosmic expansion replaces miles. The very fabric of space stretches, carrying galaxies apart like dots on an inflating balloon. Yet while the universe grows, it also remembers. The microwave background radiation, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang still bathes all of space in a subtle warmth, a memory of the first fire. Telescopes tuned to these wavelengths capture that soft relic, a cosmic lullaby nearly 14 billion years old. You close your eyes for a moment and listen. The night is almost silent, yet you sense a hum beneath everything. Perhaps it is the sound of your own blood, or the whisper of distant wind. But you like to imagine it as the resonance of the universe itself, the quiet music of expanding space and vibrating atoms. Science calls it background noise. Your heart calls it song. When you open your eyes again, the stars seem closer, as if leaning toward you in quiet conversation. They do not demand answers. They simply shine, patient and enduring, offering light to any who look up. The photons that began their journey before the birth of mountains now rest gently upon your gaze. You are both observer and participant, a small consciousness aware of an immense whole. Slowly, the desert floor releases the heat of the day, and a faint chill gathers around you. The same physics that cools the sand also shapes the birth of stars and the drift of galaxies. Thermodynamics is not only the science of engines. It is the rhythm of creation, the steady movement from order to change. In this understanding, there is peace. Nothing is lost, only transformed. You stretch your arms toward the sky, not to reach, but to acknowledge. The distance is vast, yet connection requires no touch. Light itself is the bridge, and tonight it spans every measure of time. You belong to this immensity as surely as the stars belong to their courses. The night deepens. Your breath slows until it matches the quiet pulse you feel everywhere. In this vastness, questions rise like gentle tides. What other worlds circle those distant suns? What forms of life might look back toward their own night skies, wondering as you do now? The thought is not restless, but soothing, an invitation rather than a demand. A single meteor flares and fades. The moment is brief, but its meaning lingers, a reminder that even the smallest fragment can light the darkness. You follow its trail until your eyes return to the Milky Way, that luminous path of countless possibilities. And as you listen to the desert's hush, a new curiosity stirs, soft and unhurried. If the cosmos holds such endless stories, what quiet probabilities of life might be waiting, scattered like seeds across the galactic wind? Chapter 5. Life's quiet probabilities beneath the Milky Way. You imagine life unfolding on distant worlds. Chemistry and chance weave the same delicate fabrics everywhere. A single cell, a gentle breath, a spark in the dark ocean of possibility. You feel both small and infinite at once. The night sky still lingers in your thoughts, its countless stars like soft lanterns scattered across the universe. You lie back against the cooling earth and listen to the hush that follows starlight. Somewhere in that darkness, you sense more than emptiness. You sense the quiet probabilities of life, like seeds resting beneath a vast cosmic soil. Life is not a miracle, locked to earth. It is a pattern that emerges when conditions lean toward possibility. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, the simple elements that built you, are among the most abundant in the cosmos. They drift through interstellar clouds, cling to icy comets, and settle on newborn planets. These atoms have no loyalty to any one world. They are travelers, patient and plentiful, waiting for the right arrangement. Imagine a planet circling a distant star, its surface warmed by a gentle sun. Rain falls, rivers carve paths, oceans gather in deep blue basins. Within those waters, chemistry begins its slow, patient dance. Molecules meet and separate, meet again, forming chains that remember their shapes. A spark of energy, a flash of lightning, or a burst of geothermal heat nudges them toward complexity. The process is quiet, almost invisible, but relentless. What began as scattered atoms becomes a pattern that can copy itself. On Earth, this story unfolded more than 3 billion years ago. Simple cells arose in tide pools and deep-sea vents, each one a tiny experiment in survival. Some learned to harvest sunlight, filling the air with oxygen. Others joined together, forming communities, then tissues, then creatures that swam and crawled and flew. From the smallest bacteria to towering forests, every living thing carries the same elemental alphabet. You carry it too, written in the spirals of your DNA. When you gaze outward, you realize this alphabet is universal. The same physics and chemistry hum through every galaxy. Water forms wherever hydrogen meets oxygen. Planets emerge from the same disks of dust and gas that birthed our own world. Given time, given warmth, given the gentle insistence of chance, life's pattern may repeat again and again across the endless dark. Astronomers search for these echoes. They tune their instruments to the subtle colors of starlight, looking for the fingerprints of water vapor or methane. They listen for faint radio signals that might betray technology. With each discovery, an Earth-sized planet in a habitable zone. An exoplanet atmosphere laced with carbon. They widen the map of possibility. Every new world is a reminder that life need not be rare. It might simply be waiting. You picture these planets as quiet siblings of Earth. Some may circle red dwarfs, their skies glowing with perpetual twilight. Others may orbit double suns, casting twin shadows across alien sands. Perhaps oceans shimmer beneath frozen crusts, warmed by hidden tides. Perhaps forests of crystal or fields of luminous moss stretch beneath unfamiliar moons. Life, if it exists there, may not look like anything you know. It could be built from different chemistries, shaped by different gravities. Yet the impulse to grow, to adapt, to persist would feel strangely familiar. Even within our own solar system, the possibilities whisper. Beneath the ice of Europa, Jupiter's moon, a global ocean churns in darkness, heated by the giant planet's pull. Saturn's moon Enceladus jets plumes of water vapor into space, laced with organic compounds. Mars, once a world of rivers and seas, still holds pockets of frozen water and hints of ancient microbes. Each discovery suggests that life's boundary is wider than we once believed, but probability is not certainty. For every world that thrives, countless others remain silent, too hot, too cold, too dry, too brief. Stars burn out, planets shatter, atmospheres vanish. Chance can be both generous and indifferent. And yet, you feel no sadness in this. There is beauty in the balance, in the way existence itself is a delicate equation, solved again and again against impossible odds. Think of the journey that brought you here. Every ancestor survived a million narrow escapes. Every molecule in your body has endured the furnace of stars and the drift of space. You are not separate from the universe's probabilities. You are their proof. Life looked for a foothold, and here you are, breathing, wondering, listening beneath the Milky Way. You close your eyes and imagine communication across the cosmic ocean. Perhaps on some distant shore, another being tilts its gaze upward, wondering if it is alone. Perhaps their scientists, or whatever they call them, send signals into the dark, hoping for an answer. The space between you is immense, but light is patient. A message could take centuries, yet still arrive. In this thought, isolation softens. The very possibility of connection becomes a quiet companionship. The air grows cooler. Crickets whisper in the grass. You think of how fragile life is, and yet how persistent. Microbes survive in volcanic vents, in the vacuum of space, in the frozen polar night. Seeds sleep for centuries and wake when rain returns. Life bends but does not break. It finds a way to begin again. Even the atoms in your breath are recycled from ancient lives. The oxygen you inhale once drifted through the lungs of dinosaurs, through the leaves of primeval forests. The calcium in your bones was forged in the heart of long-dead stars. You are, in every cell, a record of countless cosmic experiments. To wonder about life elsewhere is to wonder about yourself. The Milky Way arches overhead, a slow river of light. Its billions of stars are more than points of beauty. They are laboratories of chance. Each sun may cradle planets. Each planet may cradle oceans. Each ocean may cradle a cell that divides and remembers. The math of it is staggering. Even if only a fraction of a fraction succeeds, the universe could be alive with worlds that dream. You open your eyes to the vast dark and feel both small and infinite. Small, because you are a single mind on a single world. Infinite, because the elements of your body belong to every star. The boundaries blur. You are not merely in the universe. The universe is in you. Your breath slows until it matches the patient rhythm of the night. Questions drift across your thoughts like gentle tides. What stories are unfolding right now on planets you will never see? What shapes of life swim beneath alien seas or glide through alien skies? You do not need the answers. The wonder itself is enough. A faint breeze moves through the grass, carrying the scent of distant rain. It feels like a message, though it brings no words, only the reminder that everything is connected. From starlight to ocean plankton, from comet ice to human thought, the universe writes its own quiet poem of persistence. You sit up slowly, aware of the fragile miracle of this moment. A mind, a body, a night under the stars, and the unending question of life beyond. The horizon glows faintly with the first hint of dawn. The same dawn may be rising on other worlds, unseen yet kindred. You breathe it in as though sharing a greeting across light years. The probabilities remain unspoken, scattered like seeds in cosmic soil. You sense them germinating in the silence, in the patient swirl of galaxies, in the chemistry of distant seas. They need no witness to be real. They simply wait, as they have always waited, for the right moment to bloom. And as the first light brushes the sky, you feel a subtle pull of thought, a next curiosity unfolding like a gentle tide. If life can arise and endure, how does it change and wander across the endless dark, carrying its stories from star to star? Chapter 6. Signals in the silence. Radio dishes turn like patient sunflowers, gathering whispers. Each faint pulse is a question asked across cosmic time. You listen with them, heart aligned to the slow beat of the stars. Silence, too, is an answer. Deep and calming. Night settles like a soft cloak over the desert. The last heat of the day seeps into the cooling air, and the horizon fades into velvet darkness. You walk toward a field of silent giants' radio telescopes, standing like pale sentinels beneath the rising constellations. Each dish faces the heavens, slow and deliberate, as if following an invisible sun. Their white curves gleam under moonlight. Enormous petals turn to the sky. You feel their quiet purpose. They are not flowers reaching for warmth, but instruments of deep listening, designed to drink in the faintest murmur of the universe. Every rotation of their metal frames is a gesture of patience, a long inhale before a wordless reply. You pause and listen with them. At first, there was only the hush of desert wind. Then, gradually, you notice a subtle rhythm, the faint hum of machinery, the low creak of motors adjusting the great dishes. It feels almost like breath, slow, steady, alive. You match your own breathing to this mechanical heartbeat until your body becomes another quiet receiver. Above, the stars spill their ancient light, but the telescopes are after something even more delicate. Radio waves stretched thin by distance and time. A photon of visible light crosses space quickly, but a radio wave travels just as faithfully, slipping past dust clouds and through the veils of galaxies. Long after its source has faded, the signal continues, carrying a memory of the moment it was born. Scientists call this search city the search, the extraterrestrial intelligence. They point these dishes at promising stars, at worlds that might cradle oceans and weather and the chemistry of life. They are listening for a pattern that nature does not usually make, a steady beat, a repeating prime number, a signal too ordered to be chance. It is less like waiting for a shout and more like noticing a single deliberate footstep in an endless forest. You think about how vast that forest truly is. Our galaxy alone holds hundreds of billions of stars, each with planets circling like quiet thoughts. Beyond it, countless other galaxies spin in their own dark seas. The distance between any two is not measured in miles, but in years of light, a scale so immense that even the speed of light feels slow. A signal sent from a far star today might not arrive until long after every voice you know has faded. Yet the scientists wait, and you wait with them. The dishes sweep the sky in arcs of faith. They capture whispers that began their journey before Earth had cities, before humans shaped language, before even the first trees stretched their branches toward the sun. Each captured wave is a relic older than our species, an echo of creation itself. Sometimes the receivers find something that quickens the heart, a sudden spike, a burst of ordered noise. For a moment, minds race with possibility. Could it be a message? But almost always, further study reveals a natural cause. A pulsar's steady rotation, the hiss of interstellar gas, the interference of a distant satellite. Disappointment might follow, yet the listening continues. Because even the silence holds meaning. Silence tells its own story. It speaks of the rarity of life, or perhaps of its caution. Maybe civilizations bloom and vanish before their signals can cross the void. Maybe they choose to remain quiet, as a forest animal might pause when sensing another's presence. Or maybe they speak in ways we have not yet learned to hear. You tilt your head back and wonder how your own planet sounds from afar. Earth sings in radio, a faint shell of transmissions expanding outward for nearly a century. Old broadcasts of music, early radar pings, the soft static of television waves, they travel outward like a slow-growing bubble, carrying fragments of humanity into the dark. Somewhere, light years away, a starless planet may already be bathed in the ghost of a jazz melody, a forgotten weather report, the laughter of children long gone. The thought makes you feel both exposed and connected. Your world is not silent. It hums with life and technology, a beacon of unintentional poetry. Perhaps another being, curious and patient, has noticed. Perhaps they too pause beneath their own night sky, wondering if they are alone. A soft wind stirs the sand. The dishes pivot with a long, slow sigh, aligning to a new quadrant of stars. You imagine the scientists inside the control room, watching monitors filled with data that looks like a quiet rain of numbers. They are not discouraged by long waits. Their work is an act of devotion, like tending a garden whose flowers bloom once in 1,000 years. Listening becomes a kind of meditation. Each moment of quiet deepens your sense of belonging. The universe may be silent, but it is not empty. Every atom around you carries echoes of distant events, supernova that forged the calcium in your bones, collisions that seeded planets with water. Even without a reply, the cosmos is already speaking in the language of existence. You close your eyes and let the night fill your senses. The desert's chill wraps around you like cool silk. Your heartbeat slows to match the careful turning of the dishes. You realize that the search is not only for other minds. It is also a way of hearing ourselves, of remembering that we are part of a much larger story. Hours pass without measure. The stars drift, the dishes follow, the receivers hum. You sense the planet turning beneath you, another slow dance that needs no music. Patience becomes its own form of discovery. The waiting itself is a connection, a recognition that time is vast and yet intimate. Eventually, you open your eyes. The horizon begins to pale, a first hint of approaching dawn. The telescopes keep their silent vigil, unhurried, unbroken. Somewhere in the data collected tonight may be a faint signature, a whisper hidden among noise, a signal that will not be noticed until months or years from now. You stand and stretch, feeling the desert's cool sand sift between your fingers. You carry with you the quiet lesson of the dishes, that listening is its own reward, that silence is not emptiness, but a space where wonder can grow. The sky lightens, but the questions remain. If a signal ever arrives, what would it mean? Would we recognize the language of another intelligence? Or would we only sense the intention behind it? Would we answer, and how? You walk away slowly, the telescopes fading behind you like enormous white flowers folding for the day. Their patient listening lingers in your thoughts, a rhythm that follows you toward the horizon. You find yourself wondering what shapes and journeys life might take when it moves beyond its cradle, and how the echoes of that journey might guide you into the next mystery that waits just beyond the rising light. Chapter 7. The human secret within guarded fences, people build and test, fueled by curiosity. Not aliens, but humans with dreams of faster skies and safer journeys. Innovation thrives in the hush of desert nights. Your breath joins theirs, a shared wonder of invention. The desert night is still, but not empty. Beyond the chain-link fences and muted warning signs, a quiet pulse of human intention fills the air. It hums through the gravel under your feet, a vibration older than rockets and newer than the dawn. Here, the mystery is not otherworldly visitors, but the unending creativity of your own species. You stand at a respectful distance from the guarded gates of a place the world calls secret. Area 51, its name whispered like a code, as if it contains alien truths. But the real story belongs to people, engineers, pilots, technicians, and dreamers who push the edges of possibility. The fence is less a barrier to hide wonders and more a shield to protect fragile experiments as they learn to fly in the cool desert air. You imagine the rhythm of work inside. A team gathers around a table covered in blueprints, the paper soft and worn from constant handling. Pencils sketch lines of lift and drag, the subtle geometry of wings that must balance air like a dancer's poise. Equations are not cold here. They are a language of hope, a way to coax metal into grace. Farther within, in a hangar lit with muted amber light, an aircraft waits beneath canvas. Its shape is unfamiliar angles designed not for beauty, but for invisibility. Every surface tells a story of trial and refinement. Layers of composite materials that scatter radar signals, engines tuned to hush their own roar. You sense the quiet pride of those who built it, a pride that needs no applause. The desert becomes a partner in these endeavors. Its wide, empty reaches offer a runway that stretches into the horizon. Its dry air carries sound away, keeping secrets safe. When a prototype lifts from the ground for the first time, only the mountains bear witness, their dark silhouettes holding the moment like a confidant. You picture the pilots, eyes steady, hearts aligned with the machine beneath them. They know that every takeoff is a conversation with physics, every landing a handshake with gravity. Their courage is not reckless. It is careful and deliberate, born of trust in the countless hands and minds that shape the craft. Outside the gates, rumors swirl stories of captured saucers, of alien visitors hidden from view. Yet the truth, though less sensational, is far more profound. These projects reveal what human beings can do when imagination meets discipline. Stealth technology, high-altitude reconnaissance, engines that whisper instead of roar all, were once only ideas in a restless mind. You breathe deeply, realizing how many everyday technologies trace their lineage to quiet places like this. Advanced materials that strengthen bridges, navigation systems that guide your phone, even medical imaging techniques many owe their beginnings to research first tested under the desert stars. Innovation spreads outward like ripples in water, touching lives far from its guarded source. Above you, the sky holds its endless invitation. The same stars that inspire cosmic questions also inspire practical ones. How can we travel farther, faster, safer? How can we see without being seen, understand without being understood? The answers emerge not from alien intervention, but from long nights of human persistence. The people working here are not unlike the astronomers you imagined in earlier chapters, tuning their instruments to the universe. Both groups listen for faint signals, one for whispers from distant galaxies, the other for the delicate balance of aerodynamics and physics. Both are patient, both are driven by the quiet fire of curiosity. As the night deepens, you feel the subtle rhythm of shared breath. Your own inhalation matches the engineer's steady focus, the pilot's controlled calm. Though you stand outside the fence, you are part of their story. The desire to explore, to create, to reach beyond the known, that is the human secret, and it lives in you as surely as in them. A light breeze stirs the sand. Somewhere inside, a hangar door might be sliding open. A shadowed aircraft preparing for another silent test. Perhaps it will rise tonight, a dark silhouette against darker sky, carrying the hopes of everyone who dared to imagine it. You may never know its name or purpose, yet its existence proves the boundless reach of invention. You think of the countless unnamed contributors' mechanics, tightening final bolts, mathematicians refining flight paths, cooks preparing meals for the night shift. Their work is quiet but essential, each task a single thread in a tapestry of progress. This is how humanity moves forward, not in sudden leaps, but in a million careful steps. The fence glints faintly under the stars. It feels less like a wall, and more like a reminder that some dreams need solitude before they can be shared. In time, many of these secrets will become public, their innovations flowing into civilian life, transforming the ordinary. What is hidden now will one day illuminate the world. You lift your gaze to the heavens once more. The stars remain unchanged, patient witnesses to human ambition. They watched as fire was tamed, as ships crossed oceans, as rockets touched the moon. Now they watch as silent aircraft slip through the night, guided by the same principles of physics that govern their own light dot in this moment. You feel the continuum of discovery. It begins with a question, moves through the quiet labor of minds and hands, and finally becomes something tangible in aircraft, a signal, a new way of seeing. The mystery of Area 51 is not a hidden alien, but the endless capacity of people to imagine and create. You breathe in the cool desert air, a blend of dust and possibility. Your heart slows to the patient tempo of the night. You sense that the next chapter of this journey will not remain bound to Earth, for even as humans refine their craft here, their thoughts already stretch outward, toward worlds beyond this one. The stars seem to lean closer, as if listening. You feel their silent invitation, a reminder that the sky you study is not only a canvas for invention, but a gateway to the greater unknown. The human secret is not just what we build, it is the endless urge to go farther. And as you turn from the fence, footsteps soft in the sand, a single question drifts through the quiet air, linking this place of earthly innovation to the vast reaches beyond. If we can dream and create so much here, what might we become when our reach finally extends to the stars? Chapter 8. Mirage of mystery. Heat waves shimmer by day, starlight ripples by night. Stories of visitors from beyond grow like desert flowers after rain. Myth and science mingle, soft as dusk, never quite solid. You let the mystery remain, a gentle companion to sleep. The desert wakes in layers of light. Before sunrise, the sand is cool and pale, each grain holding the memory of ancient seas. As dawn spreads, warmth lifts from the ground in trembling curtains, turning the horizon into liquid glass. You watch the air itself ripple, bending mountains and distant rocks into wavering shapes that fade and reform. These mirages teach you how easily the senses can be persuaded. A puddle appears where none exists. A phantom lake glitters and then dissolves. Light travels straight, yet heat bends it, and your eyes follow the trick. The desert, with patient artistry, shows you that reality is not always what it seems by day. This landscape glows with a fierce honesty. Bare stones, silent stretches, the sharp perfume of creosote after a rare rain. Yet even here, certainty is fragile. The same heat that paints false water on the horizon can inspire stories that stretch beyond the known. When the sun sets and the air cools, the mirage lingers in another form. Rumor, wonder, possibility. Night arrives softly. The last glow of daylight slips behind black ridges, and stars ignite across the sky like a million quiet lanterns. Each one sends its light across unthinkable distances, proof of a universe alive with motion. Under their shimmer, the desert transforms again, this time into a canvas for imagination. You lie back on the warm earth and listen. The wind carries faint whispers of old tale-y stories, traded around campfires, spoken in low voices, so the night itself seems to lean closer. Travelers once crossed these sands, but leading spirits guarded the empty spaces. Later, as humans began to reach for the sky, the stories changed. Mysterious lights darting across the dark, unearthly craft gliding without sound. It is easy to see how such visions begin. High above, a meteor streaks in sudden brilliance, then vanishes before you can point. A satellite slides across the stars in perfect silence, its path steady yet uncanny. To eyes unprepared, these brief signs could feel like messages from somewhere else, an invitation or a warning. Modern science offers patient explanations. You know about space debris burning in the atmosphere, about aircraft whose lights pulse in patterns that mimic the unexpected. You know how thin air bends sound, carrying a distant engine's hum until it seems to come from nowhere. But knowledge does not erase wonder. You remember that every explanation is itself a story. Astronomers chart the heavens not just with numbers, but with imagination, naming constellations after heroes and creatures of myth. Physicists describe particles that wink in and out of existence, waves that behave like matter, matter that behaves like waves. The universe is not less magical because it is real. It is more. Somewhere beyond the mountains, hidden installations hum with human ingenuity. You think back to the quiet fences of the previous chapter, where innovation hides beneath the stars. A test flight could spark 100 alien rumors. A new engine, silent and swift, might leave a witness breathless, convinced they have glimpsed something from another world. Yet you feel no urge to separate fact from legend tonight. Instead, you let them blend, like overlapping layers of color on a painter's canvas. Science and story share the same root, our need to make sense of the vast unknown. Whether you call it a spacecraft or a shooting star, the awe it stirs is the same. The desert seems to approve of this balance. Its silence is both invitation and answer, asking nothing, offering everything. You trace the Milky Way with your eyes, a river of light spilling across infinite dark. Some of those stars may already be gone, their light and memory still arriving. A cosmic mirage of time itself. You breathe in the cool night air and feel the earth's slow turning. Each inhale draws the scent of stone and sage. Each exhale joins the atmosphere that binds all living things. In that rhythm, the boundaries between self and sky grow thin. You are part of the same fabric that carries starlight and bends heat into illusions. A faint rustle startles you. A small animal, perhaps, moving through the sparse brush. Its presence is a reminder that mystery exists at every scale. To the creature, you might be the unexplainable one, a quiet figure gazing upward for reasons beyond its understanding. Perspective itself is a kind of mirage, shifting with each vantage point. The night deepens. Planets rise one by one, their steady glow different from the twinkle of stars. You recall that each is a world of its own, some with storms larger than Earth, some with moons that could cradle oceans beneath ice. The possibility of life elsewhere, everywhere rests in that knowledge like a gentle heartbeat. Perhaps you think the real visitors from beyond are not spacecraft at all, but the photons arriving every second, messengers of ancient fires. They enter your eyes and become part of you, carrying news of places you will never touch. In their journey, you sense a kinship. Endless travel, endless change, endless mystery. The stories of alien encounters persist, blooming like rare flowers after sudden rain. They are not evidence of deception, but of longing. Humans look outward because something inside whispers that we are not alone. Whether the companions we seek are intelligent beings or simply the quiet truth of cosmic connection, the desire is the same. You let that thought settle, as soft as the sand beneath you. The desert night holds both science and dream, and asks you to choose neither. Here, reality and imagination intertwine like two strands of the same melody, slow and soothing. It is a lullaby written in starlight and heat. A shooting star arcs suddenly, brief and brilliant, then fades into the black. You close your eyes, holding the afterimage in the darkness behind your lids. The sky hums with quiet energy, each point of light a question that does not need an immediate answer. You drift toward sleep, content to rest within the unanswered dots somewhere in that drifting. You sense the next wonder calling, not a trick of light, but a journey that moves beyond sight, toward places where water runs under alien suns, toward the possibility that life, subtle and patient, waits to be found. Chapter 9. Earth's Own Wonders, Volcanoes, Oceans, Forests. Our planet holds marvels stranger than fiction. Microbes glow, rocks sing, lightning sculpts glass in the sand. You wander these truths as easily as dreams. Every earthly miracle steadies you like a slow heartbeat. You open your eyes to a world that feels both familiar and endlessly surprising. The desert night of mystery lingers in your memory, yet now the horizon is filled with colors of home-deep greens, rolling blues, the soft gray of distant mountains. It is easy to forget, after imagining distant galaxies and silent signals, that the earth beneath you is itself a cosmos of marvels. Tonight you walk into that realization, step by slow step, as though entering a living cathedral. The ground underfoot is restless, though it hides its motion well. Far below the soil, molten rock circulates in massive, patient currents. You imagine it like a deep ocean of fire, each wave moving slower than a lifetime, yet powerful enough to build entire continents. Volcanoes are the surface expressions of this quiet force. When they wake, they do so with a drama that humbles every human-planned mountain's breathing smoke, rivers of lava flowing like glowing honey. You picture a volcano's eruption as the Earth's own heartbeat made visible, a reminder that the planet is not a static stage, but a breathing, changing body. From the fire you turn to water. Oceans cover more than 2/3 of the globe, their depth still more mysterious than the far side of the moon. You picture the seafloor as a dark expanse where strange creatures drift like living lanterns. Some fish make their own light, glowing in shades of electric blue and green. Bioluminescence. Scientists call it a chemical dance, where molecules meet and release photons, as if stars have taken residence in tiny bodies. You imagine yourself floating there, the water pressing in gentle silence, your path lit by the quiet flare of life itself. The shoreline offers its own quiet astonishments. On some nights, waves roll in with a sparkling foam, every crest ignited by microscopic plankton that shine when stirred. You walk along the beach, and each footstep awakens a flash, as if you carry a constellation wherever you go. No spacecraft is required to see otherworldly light. It waits in the smallest organisms, patient and luminous. From sea to sky, the planet composes endless music. Storms churn miles above, shaping clouds into towers and spirals. Lightning forks through the air, a sudden river of energy, hotter than the surface of the sun. Where it strikes sand, the heat can fuse grains into long, twisting tubes of glass called fulgurite sculptures, formed in an instant by forces you can barely imagine. You run your hand along one of these natural relics and feel time condensed into a single flash. Forests, too, sing in their own way. Walk beneath towering trees and listen. Leaves murmur with the wind, trunks creak with growth, roots exchange subtle signals underground. Scientists speak of networks of fungi and roots sharing nutrients and warnings, a hidden conversation older than human language. You pause, breathing in the scent of soil and moss, sensing that the forest knows you are there. Its rhythm slows your heartbeat, aligning it with something steady and immense. Rocks have voices as well. On certain cliffs, the wind finds narrow passages and turns them into instruments, whistling low notes or high keening calls. In cold deserts, boulders slide across dry lake beds, pushed by ice and breeze, leaving long trails behind them as if they have wandered in secret. These movements are so slow, You could watch for hours and see nothing. Yet the evidence remains, a reminder that even what seems lifeless is never truly still. Beneath your feet, tiny architects build worlds of their own. Microbes thrive in boiling springs colored turquoise and orange. Bacteria carve delicate patterns in limestone caves, forming curtains and crystals over centuries. There are worms that survive on pure rock, and seeds that wait in frozen soil for thousands of years before they finally sprout. The line between impossible and ordinary dissolves the closer you look. You follow a river and find that it, too, carries quiet astonishments. Every curve of its path tells a history of erosion and time. Pebbles polished smooth speak of journeys measured not in miles, but in ages. The water itself is ancient. Each drop has cycled from ocean to cloud to rain countless times, a traveler older than any story. When you cup your hands and drink, you join that endless circuit dot as night gathers again. You climb a ridge and watch the landscape darken. The air smells of pine and distant rain. Somewhere far below, tectonic plates slide past one another with a slow, inaudible grind, reshaping continents grain by grain. It is a movement you cannot feel, yet it will redraw coastlines and lift mountains long after your own footsteps fade. The earth writes its story in a script of patience. You think of all the improbable connections, the iron in your blood forged in ancient stars, the oxygen you breathe released by ocean algae, the calcium in your bones, once part of coral reefs. Every element of your body carries a history far older than humanity. You are not merely on the earth, you are of it, made from its dust and seawater, sustained by its cycles. The realization is both grounding and expansive, a quiet truth that steadies you like the planet's own rotation. Even the sky above you is shaped by Earth's character. Auroras ripple near the poles, curtains of green and violet born from charged particles meeting the magnetic field. You imagine standing beneath that shimmering light, the atmosphere itself glowing with the energy of solar winds. No myth could improve on the wonder of it. Yet for all this grandeur, the planet offers intimate miracles as well. The pattern of frost on a winter window resembles branching trees or river deltas. A single snowflake holds a geometry so perfect that no two are ever the same. In the smallest patch of moss, you might find a universe of tiny creatures, each with its own story of survival. The scale does not matter. Wonder waits everywhere. As you rest, the sounds of night gather around you, the distant call of an owl, the subtle hum of insects, the low rush of a nearby stream. Each sound is a reminder of life continuing without your witness. The earth does not depend on your attention, yet it welcomes it, offering calm to anyone who pauses to notice. You close your eyes and feel the planet's slow pulse beneath you. It turns steadily through space, carrying oceans, forests, volcanoes, and storms with quiet grace. All the while, it shelters you with a gravity that feels like an embrace. This is the same gravity that guides the moon, that shapes tides, that holds the atmosphere where clouds can form and rain can fall. The marvel is not only that such wonders exist, but that you can sense them, that your eyes can trace the spiral of a galaxy and the delicate arc of a spider's web, that your ears can catch the hiss of wind through stone and the distant rumble of a volcano, that your heart can recognize the kinship of every living thing. You breathe deeply, letting the cool night air fill your lungs. The memory of deserts and stars lingers, but now it is joined by rivers, forests, and the slow dance of tectonic plates. The universe is vast, yes, but so is the miracle beneath your feet. Earth is not merely a cradle. It is a companion in the cosmic story. Somewhere beyond these hills, the ocean tides continue their eternal rhythm. Their pull will guide the next chapter of your journey, drawing you toward the meeting place of land and sea, where the planet's heartbeat merges with the endless breath of the cosmos. Chapter 10. The infinite lullaby night deepens. Stars wheel on their patient path. You feel the quiet of the cosmos settling into your breath. Secrets alien or human fade into a single vast hush. Sleep arrives as the universe keeps watch. The night stretches without edge, a slow river of darkness carrying you toward rest. Above, the sky turns with a patience older than mountains, stars sliding across blackness in their endless, deliberate arcs. You lie back and let the motion guide you, your breath matching the rhythm of their slow parade. Every inhale is a gathering of starlight, every exhale a release into the boundless quiet. The air is cool against your skin, a gentle reminder that space is not empty, but alive with temperature, pressure, and movement. Even the stillness carries sound if you listen. The low hush of distant winds, the soft shifting of sand beneath your body, the quiet percussion of your own heartbeat. These small rhythms echo the larger ones, the turning of the earth, the drift of the moon, the subtle pull of gravity that binds it all. You picture the planets of the solar system, each a silent companion moving through its own vast orbit. Mercury skims close to the sun, a restless messenger of heat and shadow. Venus glows with clouds thick as dreams, hiding a surface both fierce and luminous. Farther out, Jupiter swirls with storms larger than entire worlds, and Saturn wears its delicate rings like a slow-spinning crown. Beyond them, Neptune and Uranus spin in cold blue majesty, while tiny Pluto traces a distant path like a forgotten memory. Each world follows a precise dance, a cosmic waltz choreographed by gravity and time. Yet the music is not limited to our own system. Beyond, billions of stars burn quietly, each with its own retinue of planets and moons. Some are young, bright with the heat of new beginnings. Others are old, their light traveling for millions of years to reach your eyes tonight. The photons that touch your face left their stars before the first humans walked upright, before oceans settled into their present shores. You are seeing the past as clearly as the present, and the distinction softens until it feels like one continuous moment. You let your mind drift farther still, out past the Milky Way's graceful arms. Galaxies gather like luminous islands in an endless sea, spinning and colliding in slow-motion grandeur. Their light is faint but steady, a silent chorus humming across the vacuum. You sense it not as noise, but as vibration, a resonance too deep for ears, yet unmistakable to the quiet space of your thoughts. The universe, scientists say, is expanding space itself, stretching like a calm breath. Galaxies drift apart as though gently exhaling, an infinite rhythm of becoming. Even in this vastness, the same physics holds: gravity, light, energy, and the silent mathematics that keeps the stars alight. It is an order so immense and patient that your own heartbeat feels like a tiny echo of its pulse. And still, you remain tethered to Earth, your body a constellation of atoms forged in ancient stars. The iron in your blood once belonged to a supernova. The calcium in your bones was shaped in the cores of long-vanished suns. Every cell is a quiet archive of cosmic history, and with each breath you exchange particles that have traveled across continents, oceans, and epochs. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, folded briefly into human form. Around you, the desert night grows even softer. The wind slows to a near silence, carrying the scent of cooled sand and distant sage. A shooting star flares, brief and brilliant, then fades into nothingness. You watch it with a gentle acceptance. Its end is not loss, but transformation, energy returning to the wider whole. So too will every atom of you one day rejoin the vast cycle, neither gone nor diminished, only changed. The mysteries that once seemed sharp hidden bases, strange lights, whispered sightings now settle into a broader understanding. Perhaps some questions remain unanswered, but their edges no longer press against you. Whether the universe is populated by countless other minds or holds our small planet alone, the silence is the same. It is not emptiness. It is spaciousness, an invitation to rest. You close your eyes, and the boundary between self and cosmos softens. Thoughts slow like leaves drifting on a quiet current. The concepts of near and far blur. The stars feel as close as your own heartbeat. Each breath is a tide, rising and falling with the rotation of the planet. With the subtle stretching of the universe itself, you recall how gravity pulled you gently in earlier chapters of this night. How air danced to lift the wings of invention. How radio dishes waited for whispers from the deep sky. All those explorations remain within you. Flight and silence, earth and mystery, science and wonder woven now into a single calm tapestry. Nothing is lost. Everything is part of the same slow song. Sleep approaches like a horizon, gradual and sure. Your muscles soften, and the weight of your body becomes a quiet anchor. The mind drifts, but does not struggle. It simply floats on the dark current of the universe's breath. You sense the stars still turning, their ancient light traveling endlessly, a reminder that motion continues even in deepest rest. Perhaps, somewhere beyond the reach of our instruments, another consciousness also looks upward tonight. Perhaps not. Either way, the vastness holds you, a cradle too wide for fear. You are small, but you are made of the same substance as the galaxies, and that is enough. The night deepens. The stars wheel onward. Your breath becomes the universe's lullaby. And as your eyes close fully, a quiet question forms, not of what lies beyond, but of how beautifully everything already belongs. The thought drifts, unresolved yet complete, carrying you toward the soft, endless hush of sleep, and into whatever wonders the next dawn will reveal. The desert night is quiet once more. Stars drift overhead in their patient rhythm, and the guarded fences of Area 51 fade into the vastness of the Nevada sand. Whatever truths or secrets rest there, they now feel smaller than the sky itself. As you breathe, notice how curiosity has carried you, from silent runways to distant galaxies, from human invention to the endless hush of space. These wonders remain, waiting, even as you surrender to rest. If this journey helped you find a pocket of calm or stirred a spark of wonder, I invite you to keep exploring with me. Like this video if the quiet mystery spoke to you. Subscribe so that each new sleep story arrives when the stars return. After you wake, you can share this with someone who dreams of the unknown, or leave a gentle comment with your thoughts, questions, or the images that lingered as you listened. Your reflections help shape the next voyage we take together. For now, let your breathing match the slow turning of the earth. The universe keeps its watch. Planets glide in silence. Photons travel across time, and the night carries you toward peaceful sleep. Thank you for joining me beneath this endless sky. Until our next journey, may your dreams be wide as the cosmos and your rest as deep as the desert's own stillness. Good night, traveler.